Welcome back to Adventure Freaks. I'm Ray, and today we're diving into a concern on a lot of people's minds: the ongoing conflict in the Middle East. You might think the country you're planning to move to is completely safe, but the truth is, it may not be. These are popular countries people are actively choosing right now. That's why today we're breaking down the 5 expat countries to avoid if the Middle East conflict escalates. And we identified these 5 countries through 5 key criteria: proximity to conflict or indirect connections to countries already involved, potential for spillover into everyday expat life, the safety illusion, because the more popular and modern a country looks, the easier it is to overlook the real risks, and hidden vulnerabilities most people never even think to research. And stick around to the end, because the last country on this list is one of the hottest expat destinations in the world right now. And it just might make you think twice.
Hi, can I ask you a favor? If you find our content helpful and it doesn't put you to sleep like my buddy Sheldon here, hit that subscribe and like button. It truly helps us grow, and it helps us to continue to bring you content like this.
The first country on our list is the United Arab Emirates. We're talking about the UAE, and yes, that means Dubai and also Abu Dhabi, the capital, because the UAE is actually a federation of 7 emirates, and both cities have become some of the most sought-after expat destinations on the planet. And it is not hard to see why. Zero income tax, one of the most modern skylines in the world, incredible infrastructure, world-class dining, nightlife, and an expat community that makes up nearly 90% of the population. It feels like the future. It feels untouchable. People move there and feel like they have won the lottery. But here is what most people are not thinking about when they're scrolling through those stunning Dubai reels. This country sits directly on the Persian Gulf, sharing that water with Iran. This is not a country on the edge of the region. This is the region. And it goes deeper than geography. The UAE hosts major U.S. and British military bases, home to thousands of American troops. Those bases do not make the UAE safer. They make it a strategic target. There is a big difference, and the attacks are already happening. Since this conflict escalated, Iran-backed forces have launched hundreds of drones and ballistic missiles at the region, with debris landing in the populated areas of both Abu Dhabi and Dubai. Explosions near Burj Al Arab, a luxury hotel in Dubai, strikes close to Palm Jumeirah, the world-famous man-made archipelago in Dubai. Dubai International Airport temporarily closed with passengers directed to emergency shelters. This is not hypothetical. This is happening right now. And beneath all that glamour sits serious economic vulnerabilities. A drone strike on Ruwai's industrial complex, the country's largest oil refinery, forced the shutdown of a facility producing nearly 1 million barrels of oil a day. When infrastructure like that gets hit, it ripples through the entire economy, and that affects every expat living there. The illusion of safety is exactly what makes the UAE a candidate on this list, and exactly why you may want to pause and think about moving there. Feeling confused about where to move abroad, which countries you even qualify for, or what your real options are? You're not alone. This is where most people get stuck, and where they often waste a lot of time and money going in the wrong direction. That's why we offer 2 simple ways to help, depending on what you need. First is the Ideal Destination Finder. It's a personalized assessment that looks at your lifestyle, priorities, and budget, and then shows you your top 3 countries. It's designed to help you narrow things down, avoid endless research, and reduce the risk of choosing the wrong place. And if you feel like you need more personalized help, you can also book a one-on-one consultation with me. I'll walk you through your situation, clarify which countries make sense for you, which countries you can actually qualify for, so you're not guessing. Both options are easy to find at adventurefreaks.com. Just scroll down and you'll see the consultation with me to the right. Just click it and schedule your consultation. Over here to the left, you'll see the ideal destination finder. Just click it to get started. Links are also in the description below, or you can scan the QR codes on the screen. Now let's get back to the video. The next country up that could easily be impacted by the Middle East conflict is Turkey. Turkey has become one of the most talked about expat destinations in recent years, and it is easy to understand why. Istanbul is one of the most stunning, culturally rich cities in the world, straddling Europe and Asia, incredible food, a booming expat scene, and a cost of living that makes Western expats feel like they are living like royalty. Antalya, on the Mediterranean coast, draws retirees and remote workers alike with its turquoise waters, warm climate, and affordable lifestyle. On paper, it looks like the perfect place to build a new life. But here is what that picture does not show you. Turkey shares an actual land border with Iran. Not a distant neighbor, a physical border. And right now, Turkey finds itself in one of the most precarious geopolitical positions in the region. It has been trying to stay neutral, calling for negotiations, but neutrality is getting harder to hold on to by the day. And the attacks have already reached Turkish soil. NATO missile defense systems intercepted an Iranian ballistic missile heading directly toward Incirlik Air Base in southern Turkey, launched from Iran, passing through Iraqi and Syrian airspace before being taken down. A missile was fired at Turkey. This is not a hypothetical. This has already happened. And then there is the economic reality hitting Turkey right now. About 20% of Turkey's oil supply passes through the Strait of Hormuz, and traffic through that strait has plunged to 95% since strikes on Iran began. That is not a disruption. That is effectively closed. Experts are calling this the biggest energy crisis since the 1970s oil embargo, with oil prices surging past $100 a barrel and still climbing. For a country that depends on imported energy, the way Turkey does, every expat living there feels that. The lifestyle is real, the appeal is real, but so is the risk. And that is exactly why Turkey is on this list. And the next country up is Cyprus. Cyprus might genuinely catch you off guard because it does not feel like a country anywhere near the conflict zone. And that is exactly the point. Cyprus is one of the most beloved expat destinations in Europe, a stunning Mediterranean island with year-round sunshine, beautiful beaches, and as a full EU member, it offers expats incredible legal stability and a quality of life that is hard to beat. English is widely spoken, the cost of living is reasonable by European standards, and it has long had a reputation as one of the safest, most peaceful corners of the Mediterranean. People move here and feel like they have found paradise. But here is what most people do not realize. Cyprus is the closest European Union country to the Middle East, sitting just 320 kilometers from Israel. A flight from Larnaca to Tel Aviv takes about 1 hour. That is not a distant neighbor, that is practically next door. And the conflict has already landed on Cypriot soil. A drone struck the RAF Akrotiri British military base on Cyprus's southern coast, the first time this conflict directly hit European Union territory. Let that sink in, because Cyprus is not just a pretty island, it is an active Western military hub being used for surveillance and support operations tied to this conflict. And that makes it a target. The response from governments was immediate. The U.S. State Department raised its travel advisory for Cyprus to level 3, urging Americans to reconsider travel, citing growing threats of armed conflict, heightened terrorism risks, and limited access to diplomatic services. That puts Cyprus in the same risk category as countries directly involved in the conflict, and the economic impact is already being felt. Cyprus had just wrapped up its best tourism year ever, and now the industry is bracing for a significant decline as cancellations pile up and travelers and expats reconsider. For expats living there, an economy that leans heavily on tourism Taking a hit like that has very real consequences for everyday life. Cyprus looks like paradise, and in many ways it still is. But a Level 3 travel advisory and a drone strike on EU soil is the reality on the ground right now, and that is a reality every expat needs to seriously consider before making Cyprus their home. I want you to really pay attention to the next country on this list, which is Armenia. Armenia has been quietly building a reputation as one of the most exciting, up-and-coming expat destinations in the world. Yerevan, the capital, has been drawing digital nomads, remote workers, and lifestyle seekers with its incredible affordable cost of living, a vibrant food and cafe scene, stunning ancient history, and a warm, welcoming culture. Affordable, charming, off the beaten path. On the surface, it ticks a lot of boxes. But here is what most people considering Armenia are not thinking about. Armenia shares a direct land border with Iran. In fact, Iran is one of only 2 countries with which Armenia has an open land border. That is not a peripheral connection. That is a next-door neighbor. That is a next-door neighbor that is currently at the center of this conflict. And the economic exposure is already showing up in real time. Up to 25% of Armenia's foreign trade passes through Iranian territory, making it a critical transit route for Armenian businesses. And right now, that route is severely disrupted. Ships carrying Armenian goods have turned back. Freight operators are reporting significant financial losses, and economists are warning of price increases and shortages hitting the Armenian market directly. And then there is the refugee situation already unfolding on the ground. Hundreds of Iranians have already crossed into Armenia since the conflict escalated. Armenia has seen this before. When tens of thousands of Russians relocated there after the Ukraine war, it sent Yerevan rental prices surging and created real affordability issues and social tension. A new wave of displacement could trigger the exact same thing all over again. Armenia looks and feels worlds away from the Middle East, but a direct border with Iran, a trade route already in crisis, and refugees actively crossing into Armenia right now, that is not a distant risk. That is happening today, and it could directly impact your daily life as an expat living there. And here we are, our number 1 pick, the most surprising country on this list. And if you've been researching expat destinations lately, there is a very good chance this country is already on your radar. And it is Georgia. Georgia, the country, not the state. Tbilisi, its capital, has absolutely exploded onto the expat scene. Incredibly affordable cost of living, a stunning old town, world-class food and wine, warm, welcoming people, and a visa policy so generous that many nationalities can stay an entire year without even applying. Digital nomads, retirees, lifestyle seekers, everyone is talking about Georgia right now. It feels hidden, special, and completely removed from the chaos of the world. And that is exactly the illusion we need to talk about. Georgia shares a border with Russia to the north and Armenia to the south. And Armenia, as we just covered, shares a direct border with Iran. Georgia is sitting in the middle of one of the most geopolitically pressured corridors in the world right now. And expats are warning that if this conflict continues to escalate, the spillover into the Caucasus region is not a possibility. It is a probability. And here is the hidden vulnerability most people never consider. Georgia has a small, sensitive economy that reacts quickly to sudden population shifts, especially from regional instability. When Russians relocated after the Russian invasion of Ukraine, it sent Tbilisi rental prices surging almost overnight, created serious affordability issues, and put real strain on infrastructure and services. That was not organic growth, it was a shock to the system. And that is the concern. With tensions rising to the south through the Caucasus corridor, any new wave of displacement, whether from Armenia or beyond, could trigger similar instability. For a country Georgia's size, It does not take massive numbers to create outsized impact. Another sudden influx could once again drive up costs, tighten housing, and strain day-to-day life, especially for expats expecting stability. Georgia is also a tiny country of just 3.7 million people, already navigating Russian troops sitting 40 kilometers from its capital, and a fragile political situation pulling it in every direction. Georgia looks like the dream, and I am not here to tell you not to go. But if this conflict escalates, Georgia could find itself squeezed from every direction, and the impact on daily expat life could be far greater than most people relocating there ever considered. And that is exactly why it's our #1 pick. So there you have it, the UAE, Turkey, Cyprus, Armenia, and Georgia. 5 incredibly popular and attractive expat destinations that could be seriously impacted if the Middle East conflict continues to escalate. And now you know exactly why. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe and drop a comment below telling me which country surprised you the most. And if you are actively researching where to move and want to talk through your options, you can schedule a one-on-one consultation with me through adventurefreaks.com. I'd love to connect with you. And as always, thank you for viewing. I'm Ray with Adventure Freaks, showing you how to live your best life abroad.